Imagine that the sky above your head goes dark in a split second, leaving Earth without a single ray of light. The most powerful source of heat and life in the universe suddenly turns off like a light bulb in a room. Just 8 minutes later, the final flash reaches us, after which the planet plunges into eternal night. Will anything at all survive on Earth if the sun shuts down for just one long week? Welcome to the chronicle of a freezing apocalypse, day by day on a cooling planet. Hour 1. Absolute confusion reigns on the streets of cities. Drivers slam on their brakes in front of suddenly blinded traffic lights. People go out onto balconies, staring at the blackened sky where only cold points of stars hang instead of the sun. Scientists in observatories look at dead instruments, not believing the reality of the nightmare unfolding. Hour 3. Street lights and emergency generators begin operating at their limits, trying to dispel the darkness. The air temperature on the street begins to drop rapidly, even though calendar summer is still in full swing. Hour 6. Panic grips stores. People sweep warm clothes, candles, and canned goods from the shelves. Power grids are cracking at the seams. Millions of heaters turn on simultaneously, overloading the networks. 12 hours pass. The ground cools faster than any mathematical models expected. Thousands of freezing cars stall on highways as the fuel in their tanks thickens and turns into slush. The first artificial night sets in, but the moon no longer shines with reflected sunlight. It becomes a dead gray stone. The first 24 hours have passed. The planet is completely cut off from cosmic heat, pulling an ice crust over itself. Plants around the world instantly stop photosynthesis, freezing in anticipation of light that will not come. Leaves droop and agricultural fields begin to cover with the first morning frost in the middle of summer. Animals in the wild panic, gathering in packs and trying to find some shelter from the cold. In major cities, the last overloaded power grids go dark. Generators burn through their resources faster than planned. The second day begins. Thermometers outside the window confidently show -10 degrees. Puddles and small bodies of water freeze to the very bottom, turning into solid ice. Water pipes in homes burst from the expanding freezing water, leaving people without access to liquid. In hospitals running on backup generators, doctors fight for patients' lives, wrapping them in dozens of blankets. The air becomes so dry and frosty that every breath burns the throat from within. On the third day, oceans begin to cover with a thin film of brittle Arctic ice. Warm currents still resist, but the cold air from the land relentlessly presses on the water surface. Birds fall to the ground en masse, unable to withstand the extreme cold and lack of food. Humanity completely moves into basements, subways, and underground bunkers, burning everything for warmth. The smell of soot and smoke from bonfires fills the courtyards of freezing apartment buildings. The fourth day arrives. The temperature drops to a critical -25 degrees. Inside concrete houses, the walls freeze through completely, turning apartments into ice caves. Windows become covered with bizarre but deadly patterns of thick ice. People burn furniture, books, and wooden floors in cast-iron stoves installed right in the rooms. Communication between cities completely breaks down. Cellular towers have frozen and stopped working. On the fifth day, the atmosphere begins to behave strangely and frighteningly. Due to the temperature difference, the upper layers of air cool so severely that carbon dioxide begins to precipitate. Dry ice falls in grains onto the frozen streets, carpeting dead roads in white. Breathing becomes increasingly difficult. Oxygen levels drop in sealed shelters. Survivors wrap themselves in animal skins and down jackets, trying to move less to conserve precious heat. On the sixth day, the planet turns into a silent ice ball lost in the black cosmos. Oceans are chained in ice several meters deep, waves frozen right in the middle of a storm. Not a single sound of civilization can be heard anymore. Engines have frozen, generators have fallen silent, voices have quieted. Only the crackle of frost-splintered ice and the howl of the icy wind in dead cities remain. Human civilization, built over millennia, has collapsed in just a few days of icy captivity. And now the seventh day arrives, exactly that very week of absolute darkness. At this exact moment, at the edge of the solar system, sensors record a giant burst of energy. The core of the sun, compressed under internal forces, suddenly restarts nuclear fusion with renewed vigor. A blinding wave of light and heat races toward Earth at cosmic speed. The eighth day, the first ray of sunlight pierces the impenetrable darkness, touching the frozen mountain peaks. Ice on buildings begins to crack and crash down with a terrifying roar in avalanches of shards. The air temperature rises sharply, turning icy streets into giant torrents of water. The Great Flood begins. River jams thaw, water floods underground shelters and basements. People emerge onto streets flooded with dazzling sunlight, squinting against the unusually bright glare. They survived, but at what cost? The world around them is ruined, infrastructure wiped off the face of the earth. Fields have perished, the planet's ecosystems are undermined, and food supplies are exhausted to the bottom. This terrifying lesson showed humanity how fragile our life is under the protection of a star. It took only a week of the sun shutting down for Earth to roll back into an ice age. What would happen if that week lasted a full month? The answer is horrifying. Within a month, even the upper layers of the oceans would freeze, killing all marine life. Earth's atmosphere would begin to precipitate onto the ground as liquid nitrogen and oxygen. The planet would turn into an absolute copy of lifeless Mars or Pluto, and no technological bunker could save humanity from eternal cold. We depend entirely on the stability of the thermonuclear reactor hanging in the void. Every morning, seeing the sunrise, we rarely ponder what a miracle it is. Scientists continue modeling cosmic threat scenarios to be prepared for anything. But against the sudden fading of a star, we have and can have no defense. This imagination experiment forces us to look anew at the value of every single day. We will continue exploring the most dangerous cosmic scenarios in upcoming episodes. Do not be afraid to ask difficult questions and study the real laws of astrophysics. After all, space is full of phenomena capable of destroying our civilization in a single instant. Maintain critical thinking and an interest in the secrets of our amazing universe. Your mind is the best tool for understanding how this world is structured. Time passes, and the riddles of space await those who dare to look into the abyss. We will definitely return to new scientific investigations in the very near future. Stay with us. There is still plenty of eerie and fascinating truth ahead. Do not let the illusion of eternal peace lull your vigilance. Planet Earth is a fragile oasis amidst a hostile and cold cosmos. Every new discovery brings us closer to understanding our true place in the universe. Subscribe to the channel. The most interesting and grandiose is yet to come.